Well, hello and welcome to another day Dominion. We have a base and plunder mixture kingdom here with a lot of plunder stuff going on, a lot of loot. We have two traits that modify kingdom piles, and yeah, this is set out to be an interesting one. I'm not sure I'm going to like it that much. Um, like 2 days ago, it might be a bit dependent on the loots you get early on. But yeah, let's see how this one will play out. This kingdom looks as follows. There is Cellar for some cycling, letting you discard cards to draw more. Chapel for thinning, a super strong thinner. Secluded Shrine is also a thinner, but in light of Chapel, I think you just skip out on it. Siren can be useful for start of turn draw, also kind of countering Militia here, and also giving out the curses before they all get run down via the curse trait. You can read those here. And they are on, Pious is on Second Flute and Mapmaker has Cursed. Dealing out the curses with Siren might be good early on. We have Vassal, I think going for a treasure-heavy deck. Those aren't as great. Abundance also probably pales in face of Mapmaker and other money stuff here. And Mapmakers is this mode variant, which lets you see 4 cards and pick 2 of them up. But in the end, you'll ultimately just draw 2 cards. But they will also be able, you will also be able to play them without having to spend an action whenever any player gains a victory card, including yourself. And that makes them very interesting to play around in the late game. A bit like Black Cats, you don't want your opponent to draw a ton, but also sometimes you really need to green. So I don't know. Militia lets the opponent discard down to 3 cards in hand. Wealthy Village can get you loots. If you have 3 differently named treasures in play, that should be easy to achieve here with Cursed being around. Yeah, Cursed makes us also gain a loot and a curse whenever we gain Mapmakers. And then finally there's Pious, which lets us trash a card from our hand whenever we gain a Pious card. So whenever we gain a Sec Flute. And yeah, we got to talk about loots here because, well, Mapmakers, Cursed Thingy, Wealthy Villages, and Sec Flute can gain us loots. And there is the question as to whether, as to which one you would like to see. In the end, you don't have that much agency over that, but of course we can talk about which ones would be great here. Insignia is one that stands out as being better than usual. It lets you set up your next turns by top decking map makers and wealthy villages, and also notably it lets you top deck sirens. And usually when you gain a siren, you have to trash an action card from your hand. If you have insignia in play, you can just top deck the siren without having to like you will essentially let the game lose track or the siren lose track of itself. So even if you don't trash an action from your hand, you get to keep the siren in your deck if you top deck it via insignia. So that's great. Price Gold also strikes me as pretty good here. A spell scroll might be okay. Staff will also be rather great if you over terminal yourself with few map makers and then try to draw around to a pair of sirens, whatever. What else do we have? Sword is not that great here for the same reason that Militia might not be super great here with Siren if you get a sandwich of those going. Hammer, of course, with Cursed is insane because you get to gain a bunch more map makers without much effort. Figurehead is also pretty great, and I think doubloons might be the worst loot here, especially early on. Puzzle box is also not super great with Siren, but doubloons you don't want to see early on because it's going to clog up your deck with that doubloons and the gold. And then yeah, you won't even have a loot with plus buy and be a bit sad. Anyways, I've been rambling about this kingdom a bit, but let's look at the kingdom plot. There is a bunch of everything you'd wish for in a kingdom, even some alt VP via the cursing. But the curses, I think, mostly are going to be self-inflicted with with Mapmaker being cursed. Man, I can't talk today. I'm sorry. And yeah, we have Draw in Mapmaker and Siren, Village in Wealthy Village, and maybe Staff. Thinning via Chapel. It's just by itself is a strong thinning. And yeah, we have plus buy, so we're all good. So what are we going to go for here? As I said, some of the loots are really desirable to get, so we are going to try to pick some of them up, and we're going to do so by probably getting a few map makers. And opening wise, I think both the 4-3 and the 5-2 are pretty equivalent. I think in all cases you want to open map maker. You could also argue for militia early on to reduce the shuffle, um, the thickness of your first shuffle. But I think going for map maker and hoping for a good loot, like a prize goat or whatever, or insignia even, is better than not doing so. Of course, as I said, with the balloons you might be a bit sad. In any case, you open Chapel, Map Maker, and then you just see how the game goes. So let's start this game. See which loot we get. Okay, we get a sword. Sword is not super great. I mean, it's early on, it's fine, I guess. But AI does get the prize code. We will be able to get to the end of the shuffle, and we will be able to make the AI discard attack here, and even in principle pick up a sack of loot if we so wanted. I'm actually pretty inclined in just going Wealthy Village, maybe Cellar, Wealthy Village Chapel, second chapel, as we want to pick up a Siren, and that might be a good option. I don't want to make the shuffle bigger yet with another map maker, or even a stack of loot could be an option. But yeah, we have too many cards. We want to get really thin first, so let's go for Wealthy Village Cellar and just trash the cellar here. Um, yeah, I think that's fine. Next turn we get to trash again. Yeah, now if only had this had been an insignia, I guess, but yeah, cannot have everything. And next turn we can start getting more map makers into the deck and hopefully buy this second Siren. So let's pick up a second Cellar. Amazing, we have this Wealthy Village map maker on top, but AI is also going very nicely with spell scrolls and sack of loots and endless chalices, but it also has a much thicker deck than we do. We basically get to choose what to do this turn, and we can play this Siren. Um, yeah, and get the next one. And with that, I think we pick up a silver here. Usually, I don't think I would advise much getting the silver in this kingdom, but here this means that next turn we can pick up, for example, a wealthy village and a map maker or something like that, and profit from that with um, the loot gain from wealthy village. And AI picks up a staff there and a jewels. We, however, do get to trash a bit further. I think we just trash like this. And does this want to be a sack of loot at this point or a wealthy village? Um, I think we are going for another wealthy village to get the higher purchasing power earlier, and then next turn we can pick up 2 Mapmakers or whatever. And Hammer, as I said in the beginning, is an excellent loot to get because you can really now hammer in those Mapmakers, especially since they're almost gone. Yeah, the game is not all too far from ending. Last card is this other wealthy village. So we can play this Siren. How much money is this? This would be 610. We can just pick up the last 3 Mapmakers, I guess. In which case we can trash those 2 coppers, right? Yeah, I think that's good. So let's pick them up. Yeah, and AI has -8 victory points. And we can even pick up those Mapmakers without ever having to pick up curses with them, because we've dealt some with the Sirens. And yeah, I really like our position here because while the AI does have a lot more loot than we do, it does not have anything resembling control. So yeah, we can draw our deck here essentially. Now, if we had a sack of loot, that would work wonders with the staff. Actually, maybe we pick up a sack of loot here if we don't already have a win. Maybe, yeah, 6 Cellars should be doable, right? We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buys. Yeah, I guess that's it then. Yeah, that was unexpected. I did not expect to win already. We have enough money and we have enough buys. We could even draw the seller, as I said. But yeah, I don't know. Wow, this was quick. I didn't expect to win already on this turn, but AI is behind by 8 victory points, so wow, this was fast. Yeah, so what's the takeaway lesson from this one? Go for loots, but don't do so all too in an all too messy way, I guess, like the AI did. I mean, it did have some nice loots. Figurehead, price code early on, especially, is great. Yeah, stuff also not too bad. But yeah, we just got ahead with those Sirens. I like how early on we prioritized getting those in, then first drawing our deck, and only then going for map makers and wealthy villages. And yeah, skipping out on the sack of loot, that decision point where we had 7 early on, where I just got the wealthy village and the cellar. Could have been a sack of loot, but I think in that case the game would have been much, much messier. Yeah. We didn't even get to any weird endgame scenario, in which case AI's map makers would have been a bit scary because if you have the map makers and your opponent buys a green card, you get to draw a bunch, and if you have a bunch of good cards like this loot in deck, then that's great. But then also AI managed to somehow stack up those 8 curses and not trash its coppers, so what gives? Yeah, so I'm rambling, but I'm just looking at the video length. It's, well, under 14 minutes, pretty quick. But I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will try to catch you in the next one. Goodbye. Maybe a quick note. Yeah, I mentioned that I was about to produce another video. I think I'm gonna rewatch it today. I've recorded it yesterday. I think I might publish it today, but if I'm not happy with it, I might also redo it at a later point of time. Anyways, that was just a small add-on. Goodbye.